What's up, guys? Emo Tempest here, and today we're going to be, what I have for you actually is something a little different, something actually old-fashioned, if you would. I got some good, authentic deck profiles from you from Nats. I have a couple videos, so make sure to go check them out. Today's is going to be Jonathan and Gordon, JG Fitness, as some of you might know. He was piloting an unusual mono ice deck, so I asked him if he wouldn't mind sharing the deck with us, and so I was able to get it. The time of day changes a little bit, so don't mind as it gets darker, but you can still see all the cards. It's gonna be good. I just wanted to give you guys a little insight. This is all post-nat stuff. This is me now talking, but you guys are gonna see me while I was there. So yeah, I hope you like it, and yeah, man, enjoy. What's going on, guys? Emo Tempest here, and back to you with another Nationals deck profile. I have Jonathan Gordon here, top 32. He has a new turbo ice, if you will. Did really good during the day, and I'm here to share it with you. JG, tell the people about the deck.
Yeah, so originally with the deck, Jordan came to me, or he told the group about a potential turbo ice deck that could be good for a 2-deck format. Mainly not like a solo event, but a 2-deck format, just because of the time restraints and the fact that that mechanic, discard mechanic, is still really strong. You just have to go about it in like a different way. And there were some new cards that were released that could put a lot of pressure and keep that discard engine going, but keep stuff tapped down and get in some quick damage. And then for the most part, because the format's kind of aggressive, you can get ahead of that and and take over games pretty early before they can kind of react. So it seemed like a really solid idea, so we kind of tinkered with it, and I kind of just put my own spin on it, just because I played a lot with it, and there's some things I didn't like about the original list, so I kind of just went with what I felt was more important to make the deck successful and consistent. So then that way, if I did play it, I wouldn't just instantly lose unless I drew a broken hand. So I made some fixes of my own, and I already made some updated fixes after the event, because there's some cards that kind of underperformed for me. So,
all right, cool. So
we'll go through it.
Let's see what it is, and just let us know what those fixes were.
Sounds good. So we'll start with 3 CP Laguna. This card.
Could you turn it around, please? Sorry.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, so 3 CP Laguna basically searches for your triple discard combo. If you get this with an Argath, you literally slap this card down. Either you can even go turn 1, or even turn 2 is probably better if you start, and then you can go basically Argath, Laguna, search for CP Squall, and then you go triple, and that would be the third discard, because Squall will discard 2 if Laguna's on the board, and then you're left with a 3K, 4K, and a 9K Squall with 1 backup, and they have 3 less cards in their hand. If you get that set up, it's pretty hard for them to punish you with a Fanfrit or even react to that damage. You're going to get 3 points of damage next turn. If they play a forward, you're then just a top deck away from dulling something down and getting that damage in, and then once they're behind, there's no coming back. Unless they hit any X-Burst, but for the most part, most decks didn't run a lot, unless you're Fire. So yeah, great card, one of my favorite cards in the deck. So we definitely run 3 of those.
3 Lagunas.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's because we want that combo consistently. That's my favorite combo in the deck. So we got Argath. Again, it's for the combo.
How many Argath?
Argath 3.
Just drop them down?
Yeah, so
yeah,
we got 3.
There you go.
And the reason for that is, again, we want these Lagunas to come down with our Argath ASAP. That's our best triple discard combo, because we get the 3 forwards, 3 points of damage, we got the pressure, and they're cheap. So love that combo. So that's why I want to run 3, because I want to see that combo more often. We got 7 CP Sephiroth. It's pretty, straightforward, right? If we don't get our triple discard combo with our little guys, we can then do Sephiroth and do some Shadow Flare stuff. Again, another way where sometimes people, when I search for this card, they get scared of it and they might go down, they might empty their hand, and then again, that's when Laguna's pretty versatile, because we can search Haste or Squall and then get in some early damage. But if they don't, then what happens is I slap down Sephiroth and then Shadow Flare them, and there goes 4 cards, right? And that can be done turn 2. That's insane. I got to back up a forward, and you have no cards in hand. So, and then right away, we're getting dull freezes, and then we're just slapping down cheap 2-cost discards and dull freezes. And before you know it, like I said, if they don't get any X-Bursts, it's pretty much over. So again, it's a staple. We want to run 3. For sure. I've tried 6. Again, the 5 CP is basically just for the Shadow Flare. It also does open up triple discard combos with Argath, right? Opening turn. So again, there's some synergies here. If you can't get this, or you can't get the Laguna package, again, the discard is super important. If you don't get a triple discard, it's kind of underwhelming. So we do this, but I ran 6 before, and I hated it, because then you would basically draw multiples when this card dies, and then this card's just not very good. Or you want to place pressure, and keep playing other stuff, but then you're drawing multiples, and then you're bricking, and you're not keeping that discard or pressure up. So I didn't like that. So I wanted just the one. I just want 4, and I usually try to get this out of my deck ASAP so I can play this one, so I can play this the special, and then this one, in my opinion, is just better to slap down. But yeah, so we want to run 4 for sure. Again, we just want to have as many options to get a open discard play as possible. So between Laguna, Argath, and Sephiroth, like we've got those plays consistently. Renoa, bonkers. So we run an 8 package. This card literally with Squall is insane for 2 CP. 2 CP again gives us a doll, like I said. So once we've done triple discard, we've got Laguna on board. We drop down a Renoa, right? We're just gonna basic doll. If any of my other guys die, I just slap down a Laguna, Squall, and I get more triggers with Renoa, doll, and then I can get the Squall to give me all 3. And it's gonna doll freeze, first strike. Squall probably has haste, swing. He's a 9k first strike when they have no cards in hand. But even then, you know, you're getting guys big, and you're getting all their big guys out of the way, and you're swinging in for 3 points of damage with those existing 3 forwards. So she just facilitates like the aggression, cheap aggression. It's just like a cheap spell, you know, in a body, which again puts pressure on your opponent and gets you more damage. So you definitely run 3 of this card, right? It's perfect for top decking. You're always going to be able to get it and slap it down, and if they kill it, you just play another one. And that's the great thing about it. It's cheap, but it does what it does. It gets you the squeak in the damage. So definitely 3. Squall H, yep. We just run this for, again, if they dump their hand, we have an 8k first strike haste, right? Also, if they don't play around this card, they easily lose the game. We can go Shiva, Squall, game if we got them, you know, 6 points of damage, which happens a lot. People just forget about this card, or they forget about this card when they dump their hand to play a battle trick, and then it gets up to 8 and it lives. Also, or the first strike, they run into it with a block and it just, you know, kills them. So amazing card, super cheap. Again, it's a top deck card, right? We can be on 4 CP, we can go on 2 backups, draw 2 cards, and we get, you know, doll freeze haste. Pretty good. So definitely a staple of 3 of these cards. And again, I'll get into the other cards that allow us to search these combos, but that's pretty straightforward. This is for the triple discard off the Laguna. Makes it a 9k, double discard. You have no cards in your hand when you make that play on turn 2 if you go first. So it's just perfect. And then a 9k is really hard to deal with, right? So it's not gonna die anytime soon unless they kill the Laguna. But most times people play down a body, or they start pitching their hand to react to the pressure. And before you know it, you're, you know, a Renoa away from just putting them out of your way. Or other forwards in my deck that are very cheap off 1 backup that curve perfectly to keep the pressure. Palom, we run 3. I originally only ran 2 because I kind of didn't like the card all that much. I hated drawing multiples of it, but it adds to the consistency of getting triple discards in your opening turn. And if you don't want to discard, it's great. If something's already tapped down, we just play it and we just freeze. We just freeze a body down, and it's a 2-drop 5k. That's pretty amazing for a 2-drop, right? Better than Argath. Argath is a 2-drop 3k. So having a 5k is pretty good. Yes, it's Fina range, but this card has some versatility to it. Sometimes I've done funny things where it's third text, you can dull their backup. So they're trying to use that CP to make a play. You dull them. If they don't use it, their CP's gone, right? And then you can maybe play another card to discard the card in their hand, and then they're kind of screwed. So, but most times I just froze, or I had no cards in hand, I was top decking, and they left 1 card in their hand, and it was just another discard. It's kind of like another Thaumaturge in my deck, or I should say Argath in my deck. So we want to run 3 for sure. Now, because I only ran 2. Now this card, Time Mage, low-key really good. I can run 3 of this card, so again, I can top deck this card in multiples and keep stuff down. Dull freeze is super important. Again, they can't, you know, untap that next turn, and if I've got 2 bodies, I'm ahead, and I'm gonna get damage in. So we run 3. Like, it's just a very cheap on-curve Genesis, smaller Genesis. We're always on 1 backup sometimes in that early part when we do that triple discard. So we wanna draw this immediately after, or Renoa, to get a dull freeze, and then get in those damage, right? And then once we get those damage in, it's pretty tough for them to come back. And like I said, Shiva or another dull freeze, you know, we're good to go. We win the game. So next one's Garland. I'm okay with this card. It wasn't like the best performing card. I do like it in the sense where if you do play it turn 2, it can like handcuff some control decks. Makes it hard for them because they want to set up, and it makes their plays a little inefficient. And then you can play the triple discard after. So then if you got Garland, triple discard, 1 backup, they're dealing with a Garland 4 forwards by turn 3. And they're just like, okay, you know, like you're basically getting, this is kind of like the closest thing to Jesper, in my opinion, because it's constantly getting you value by making them play their cards very inefficiently. And if you're keeping the discard up or the dull freeze, then and this card sticks, yeah, you pretty much win. Anytime I played a mirror match against ice, which I knew I was going to play against this weekend, not so much fire, which was tough, but when I played ice, they couldn't keep up to this kind of pressure because they were playing all more mid-range stuff, so they needed to set up. Whereas me, my top deck game was just on point. Good card, could be swapped out, but I do like it. It's just another card, like I said, I like how it compares to Jesper in a sense, how it gets you value over time, and if they don't answer it, it's just like kind of game over because of the way the deck operates. Sarah is just like a basic on curve, or sorry to say, it kind of just curves into the 3-cost discard. So if you don't hit, Palom, if you don't hit Argath, you can hit a Sarah. It's an easy discard 6k body. You just want to either top deck discard or dull freeze, and then that way you can just kind of get ahead. So yeah, pretty straightforward card, and it can also set up triple discard. I think if you go second, you can play this card and a Sephiroth, and that should get you 3 discards. Kuja, we only ran 1, and the reason for this, and the only reason why I played it, is yes, it's a dull freeze. EX burst is pretty relevant in some situations when people try to push back, but I love seeing this card in the break zone, and that's why I wish I had 2, because when it's in the break zone, you can then make really strong plays like Renoa Dull, break the 2 backups, get an extra 2 CP, pitch, play Shiva. You've dulled 3 in 1 turn, and you can get in that, last point of damage or 2 points of damage when they think, oh, all of his big Shivas are gone, can't get through. You don't need the CP anymore. You just want to win the game, and this just generates you 2 CP out of your break zone. Pretty damn good. Plus, it's an EX burst, and if you have it in your hand, it's very relevant to drop a 9k that puts them back a step. So pretty good in my opinion. I'd like to see 2, and I'll explain why for the next card. So next card is the Deign Light. Didn't have this in my in my deck because I was afraid of bricking with it, but this card's just so good. I love it originally from my Water Lightning 9 deck, but I love it in the sense we run Kuja, we run Garland, so it's a 2 CP draw or discard, which is insane for a 7k, or if you pay 3, who cares? Like, for the most part, you're going to make plays where you can actually go play a 7k on the board when you go draw, and then you get the extra 2 CP, pitch, play Shiva, pitch, play Thaumaturge, Argath, Palom, any 2 CP combo, right? And then you get 2 bodies and a discard, and one of your bodies is 7k. So you really don't care if this card dies eventually. So again, it's just like kind of like another Sarah, but a bit more versatile. So that's kind of why I want to put this in the deck. I didn't put it in before because I was very worried that I would draw it and I'd want to play the other card in my hand, and then that would be more important, and I'd probably lose the match because, oh, maybe I want to top deck into Shiva, but then I don't have the CP because I have a light card. So this could basically get taken out, but it's been testing quite well, so I'm going to keep it for now. Now, originally, I only had 1 Shiva. I need 2. There's just been so many games where I'm like, man, if I just had Shiva at 6 damage, I win. And there was times where I just wasn't drawing it, and they were able to kind of stabilize because I couldn't keep up the discard, and there was just a couple bad hands in a row, and I could have just closed it out with, just drawing 2 cards because I didn't have the Kuja in my break zone. So it's just like, this just adds consistency to the sake where, like, if it's gone, 1 copy's gone later, I at least have another one where if I'm top decking, it's over. They just can't keep up, and it's game over. So I think 2 is fantastic rather than just the 1. Really just makes your opponent have to play very cautiously, and if they don't, they get punished. This card, best card probably in the deck. I do love the triple discard play with Laguna Squall, but I do love this in the sense where, like, you're not safe with this card existing. Like I said, Kuja, very important when you're top decking, gets you another 2 CP off 2 backups, and then you top deck this card, it's game over. 3 dull freezes. Even in situations where you're not going to win the game, 3 dull freezes is super relevant because it puts them back a turn, and if they can't put down another body, then they lose. And if they do, well, then you're a top deck away from just drawing another dull freeze or dull, and it's over. So even in those situations where you don't win the game, but you want to push for damage and put them really on the back end, this card is good sometimes in the mid to late game, rather than just being like late game, need to top deck and win. So, and it also touches monsters, but I never had to do that. Although Royal Ripeness for 1 turn, but it didn't matter because that card's just nuts against ice. So really good card. Essential. So I think just more Shivas in the deck is a better idea. So now we're getting into backups. Lock. Now I basically I don't really want to run a lot of backups, but it ended up where I was running, I think 15, and I changed some out. But this one was a 3 of, and the reason for it, I believe it was a 3 of. The reason for that was I just needed a turn 1 backup to kind of just get my setup going, and I didn't care what it was. It was either this or my next card, which I'll show you. And we just usually do this into another backup because we just don't want to be top decking backups. We want to pitch it just for the forwards and get the discard up. But if I needed a forward and I wanted to get to the discard combo, then there was the odd time I'd ask forward, and maybe I'd get the Argath or the Laguna part of the combo, and then I could go off, or even a Sephiroth. So sometimes it was great. Best part about this card though is if you're top decking and you don't have that Shiva, you just go summon, draw into the Shiva, you know, break the backups, Kuja, Shiva, game. So like this searches for your win condition as well too, right? You can top deck this as well if you don't have to play it early, and it wins you a game. So this is just a very versatile card for the deck, and that's just a really cool feature that actually did happen for me, which is why I want to go 2 Kujas, because I need Kuja in my break zone to make those plays, and sometimes he doesn't get there. Maybe he goes in damage, or maybe I just didn't get him to my break zone soon enough. So I think 3 of is pretty mandatory there. Now Ysael, of course, searches any ice forward in my deck. So I really want to make sure that like I have this card turn 1 to basically set up my combo. It's like I just have to have Laguna. Oh, well, if I play this and pass, I get Argath, I've got my combo set up. They're probably going to see an Argath and be like, whatever, Argath, discard 1, I'll hold on to 4 cards, I'll be okay. You know, or I'll hold on to 3 and still be okay. It's not a big deal. And then you set up that triple discard, and they're just kind of like, they're done, right? So that is essential. Or we can go into Sephiroth. Search for Sephiroth if we already have a Sephiroth copy in hand, and we set up for special, which is 4 discards. And that's basically going to pitch your hand if you're going first, turn 2, you can pitch your whole hand for a Sephiroth, a backup, and 4 discards. So sets up your discard combo, searches any card in your deck, which is very versatile and very important for any situation. Edward's just a standard backup discard. Beautiful thing about it, those canceling summons. There's certain situations where people think that they're just going to kill your stuff, or reactivated Diablos and you cancel a summon is massive. So sometimes holding the special is super relevant, but we mainly just like it because it's another discard combo. We can basically go Edward, and then we have 2 more cards left in hand, and then go pitch, play Palom, pitch, play Argath, pitch, play, you know, whatever discard we have. So it just sets up, again, discard plays. So basically just like a staple 3-0 for any sort of discard deck. Sid Alstein. So a lot of people think, why not the forward? Reason for the 4 is we don't run a flam package, so we can't set up a Sid Alstein break. We're just running off 1 or 2 backups. It's super expensive, and most times people would look at that and say, okay, I got to play around Sid Alstein. He's only got 2 cards in hand. He can't do it. So, or he'll draw in and only have 2 cards. So then what we do with the backup is, well, they empty their hand thinking that I can't pay for it, and then it's just a 3 CP, you know, break your forward, right? Or if they have 1 or 2 cards, then it's a versatile Doll Freeze. So it acts like a forward for me. Again, another condition where I just need a top deck of Doll Freeze to win the game, and we get that component when they have less than 2 cards, which is mainly going to happen when they're being discarded every turn, or they're starting low hand because I discarded them earlier. So, and the EX Burst is just nuts too. Like some people just ran into EX Burst at Alstein, which most people do, even with the forward, but at least this gives me the option. Doll Freeze is great in certain scenarios where you don't want to kill a Porum, or you don't want to kill a Magus Sisters or a Hildebrand. You just want to be able to Doll Freeze it, delay their value, and then go in. So I prefer this for a cheap, you know, top deck type of turbo over the big Sid Alstein. If we had Flan, then maybe we could get into that. And I was originally only running, no, I did run 3. I was hesitant, but I listened to my gut on that one. I thought it was better. Now, there was a card called Numu from the Opus 9. It's a standard unit, and I was running 3 of those before, and it was great because you couldn't brick with it. It was basically like a 3 CP Doll Freeze, right? You play a backup, you're always gonna have that 1 floating backup, you tap the floating and get a Doll Freeze, and then you swing in. The only thing is that I didn't like drawing too many backups, so I wish I didn't run that card, and I kind of just took it out and ran more forwards like I explained earlier. But this card's really good. EX is awesome, plus getting 2 freezes and a doll. Again, we can change the game. It's like a little mini like spell, summon type card. So it's just cheap, helps with the top deck game, pretty standard. Now we got Kazusa. Again, Turbo used to run 3 of these. I love this card, but opening hand's pretty terrible, especially when you're running Paloms and Sephiroths and things that make you discard from yourself. So it doesn't really combo very well. So I liked it when as an additional card with like Argath, and Kazusa, like when you're top decking, it's like an additional discard. Or if I'm top decking and I just need a discard play, I just pitch the card in my hand, play it, and discard, and then later on I can use it to pop a card in their hand if I need to. But I didn't like drawing multiples of this card, and I didn't really pop it in a lot of situations because I needed the CP to keep my top deck game going. So I didn't really like having this opening. It was more just like, so I wanted to see it later as just like any other discard card after I did the initial discard combo. So yeah, I think a 1 of is fine. You could maybe do 2, but I think 1 was fine. I think the thing that I made a mistake with was just like 1 or 2 backups could have been cut. I think going a bit lower was fine. As long as you got Ysael or Locke, you were pretty much in a good spot for the rest of the game. But yeah, that's the deck. There's a couple minor changes, but for the most part, it performed really well. I didn't play with it first at the tournament. I kind of just went with my gut feeling that people were going to play decks that they were comfortable with, which were the more popular decks that I think that this deck would do really well against. There was only one person who started with Fire, and that was my worst matchup. Everybody else played Mono Ice, they played like Water Lightning, they played all these sort of decks, or like their fun like combo-y decks, and then once they don't hit an X-Burst or they realize the discard stuff is happening, it's just game over. Like they just can't recover from that, and they figured it out too late because it's just, they're not familiar with it. So I wouldn't recommend this at like a one deck format event. Like you'd probably get destroyed, because people then, if they know how to play against it, like you're just going to lose. But because it was 2-deck and I was in a time restraint, it was perfect. I could focus on my Water Lightning matchup, a little bit extra time, make cautious plays, not over play too slow. Play too fast. And then with this one, when I was in time pinch, I could just pull this deck out, play it, get the game done in 5 minutes. You know, either win or lose in 5 minutes. And then I had tons of time to recover. Mental fatigue didn't even settle in, so it was great. I did play it twice. I played it first, the first 2 games, and I didn't like it because I felt like, I played it second because I thought Water Lightning was better. And then I would win Water Lightning, but then their other deck would counter it, which is like Fire decks, and they would always play that second when they saw this. So I'd rather play it first, and when I played it first, I ran into all the best matchups with it, and then they would stick with their other deck, or the same deck, and then I could play Water Lightning, and then I can close out with Water Lightning. But when I went second with it, Fire was usually people's like second deck for most part, or counters to this deck, like Earth variants and stuff like that. And I felt it just went better for me that way. I just felt like it was a much better call on my part. I think if I'd went second with it all the time for the rest of the tournament, probably wouldn't have made it. I probably would have ran into bad matchups and be forced to play this twice, and I don't want to. I want to play it once, get it over with, play Water Lightning twice, if anything. I don't want to have to play this deck twice, because then once they figure it out, it's tough. So yeah, that's kind of, I hope that makes sense. But yeah, any questions, feel free to message me anytime. But it was a fun deck. I really enjoyed playing it. I still play it now, just for fun. But yeah, definitely don't take this to a single big tournament, because you might have a short ending to your day. So it'll be over fast. So yeah. Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Thanks again for sharing, guys. Again, JG got top 32.
Yeah.
Did real good. We all did real good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah. Peace.